Thank you very much, Wally. That was a very professional introduction. I love that, Wally. I haven't heard that from you yet. I'm here, welcome back, welcome into Community Comment. Charlie Dern with you. I'm here with Markesan District Administrator Jason Breaker, and we're talking about the Markesan School District referendum that will be on the ballot on November 5th. So coming up. Well, Jason, first off, welcome in.
Charlie, thanks for having me over, and also thanks for all the coverage you give to Markesan. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all. I'm really looking forward to our conversation here on Community Comment, learning about this referendum that's going on, especially as someone that I've only been in that area one time. Uh, Having only been there once, I'm excited to learn about the school the change that's going to potentially be made, and learning all about like why it's necessary and everything involved there. So why don't I start by reading off what the question is, and then maybe you and break it down in more of a vernacular interpretation way there. So the question on the ballot that will appear on the fall ballot: shall the school district of Markesan, Green Lake, Fond du Lac, Columbia, Marquette, and Dodge counties, Wisconsin, be authorized to issue, pursuant to Chapter 67 of the Wisconsin statutes, general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $26 million for the public purpose of paying the cost of a school facility improvement project consisting of construction of an addition and renovations at the elementary school, including for classrooms, art, music, special education, the library and offices, renovations at the middle and high school, including for a secure entrance, district-wide capital maintenance, building infrastructure and site improvements, and acquisition of furnishings, fixtures, and equipment. That's a lot there. So break it down for me on where Markesan fits into that picture.
I'd be happy to do that. You did a great job reading that question. So we've been working through this since March of 2023. We partnered with C.D. Smith and Bray Architects. So we did a facility study, which they looked at our entire district and said, these are the needs. This is where you're at. We had community meetings, and we also sent out a survey via school perception. So we took all of that information, and then we have settled in at the 26 million. And the need is we have 11.4 to 12 million of just general maintenance. So that is the roofs, HVAC, plumbing, flooring. At times we've said we could spend 11 million, and you'd be hard pressed to notice it in the building, because it's a lot of stuff behind the walls, above. And then we have the other part of it is remodeling in the addition. So we have small classrooms per the standard size. So a standard size classroom, grades 1 through 5, is 900 square feet. 4K, 5K is about 1,200 square feet. So we're at an average of 830 square feet for all of our classrooms. So undersized classrooms without storage. So tough to have the students in the small environment, and then we really can't have a lot of stuff because we don't have anywhere to put it. Our 4K classrooms and 5K classrooms do not have bathrooms, so anyone that's been around 4, 5, 6-year-old children, one goes to the bathroom, we're all going to the bathroom. So it just turns into kind of a time thing that we think we can improve on. We're also most of our neighboring districts are having all-day 4K, and right now we're one classroom short if we wanted to do that. So we do not utilize the space, and where that impacts us is we lose students when it becomes I can take my kid X, Y, and Z, and they have them all day. This half day is tough on my family life, so looking to improve that. Also leads into daycare, I think, is an issue all over the place. We do not offer before or after school programming due to lack of space in our building. So we are hoping that if this referendum passes, that's something we could offer our community as well. Our library does not have walls, so our librarian is trying to have classes, and there are classrooms right out. The 4K and 5K are right outside her area, so lots of extra noise, and we're trying to schedule as strategic as possible to not have students coming and going, but that's not always possible. We do not have access to the upstairs right now, so that's where our music department is. So right now we have to have 2 music rooms, which sounds, almost crazy in a school of 300 students. Like, why do you have 2 music rooms? Well, it's because we can't have all of our students get up the stairs to attend music, and ADA, we have to offer them free and appropriate public education. So that's one area we'd like to improve is having our core classes move downstairs, build the addition for 4K, 5K grades 4 and 5, and then be at code with our entire school. And a few more safety concerns right now. Highway 44 is right in front of the elementary school. So currently our parents, when they drop off in the morning, they drop their students off and they have to walk across 44. Now it's in town. It's not, don't picture a highway where people are driving 55 or 60. It's not like that, but still a highway, and we have a crossing guard that gets them across. So we're proposing a pickup and drop off area on the same side of the school, and then a new bus drop off so that those two areas can be separated.
Like in one of those.
It'll be like a U almost as you think about it. So it'll be a one way in, one way out, and drop off at the building or drop off in designated areas. And we'll ask that all students exit on the right side of the vehicle or enter on the right side of the vehicle, so they're not running out in front of other cars.
Smart. Is that all the proposals?
And one other thing, so this is elementary school is where most of this is going to touch, but our middle school, high school, we are proposing a secure entrance there. So anyone that's been to Markesan or goes into Markesan, you're buzzed in, but then you have a three-way go, essentially, of where you can go in the building. We'd like to have a person at the door and directing them where to go, and try to just not let someone in the building that shouldn't be. It's not that we let them in now, but if we let somebody in and they try to deceive us, they have a way to get through the building. So we're trying to button up the safety in that building as well.
Smart. And you just mentioned that most of these are affecting the elementary school and not the middle or high schools. Is it a separate middle and high school, or are they in the same building?
When I speak of that, the middle school and the high school is the same building. We have a middle school hallway, which houses most all of our middle school, and then a separate high school that has the 9-12 students. So those students are separated in the same building.
I see. So then when the discussions were going on about where the money would potentially get allocated, was it just that the elementary school, just more pressing, just needed to get done more so than the middle high school?
And that goes back to the survey data. So our first proposal that the district surveyed was for $40 million. So we understand that there are needs in the middle school as well. But when the data came back, we were advised to maybe concentrate on one building, which is the elementary school. And not to get too deep into school finance, but we have capital funds with some money set aside right now for the elementary, where if this referendum would pass, we could stick those capital funds elsewhere.
I see.
And namely, our middle school hallway needs a facelift. Like, that's an old part of the building too, that I'm not saying that's what we're going to do, but we would have the funds to be able to do that if this referendum passes. And we've had those discussions, just new flooring, lockers, just something to spruce up that part of the building as well.
Definitely. And what would the timeline look like for this? Or is there a timeline?
So, yeah, there is a timeline. If this passes, the first 9 months are basically bids. So the contractors would try to bid out the jobs, find us a cost, and then 9 months after that, which I have right here, where's the timeline right here? We're talking bids would be done in July of 25, so think like final bids in September 25. So September of 2025, we would get started with the construction, and they hope to finish in 15 months. So what it would most likely look like is the addition would get started first, because we could do that while school's in session, and then we would move those 4 grades out there, and then they would finish up on the interior part once the school year started. So we'll have, if anyone that's wondering where our school calendar is, it's really dependent on this, because we'll have to adjust the calendar, try to start earlier, so to give them more of a summer to work on this.
Right, definitely, especially as, well, it's unpredictable when it's going to start to cool down.
Yes,
so, yeah.
Exactly.
Are a lot of these... like when you mentioned the undersized classrooms, did that classroom size rule change recently, or is it that the school is just that old?
Well, I think our school is definitely dated and built. I think it was built in 36, additions in 73 and 90. So the last addition happened over 30 years ago. So I think there was just a different way to educate students at that time. And I want to kind of reiterate, just because we don't have the space right now doesn't mean they're not getting an awesome education. Like our teachers and staff are doing an excellent job with the kiddos. This would just be an add-on to improve that education even more. I mean, I've said we could go teach in a one-room schoolhouse and we'd be great. So our staff is wonderful, but this building would give us the best of both worlds.
Definitely. My mom's a teacher, and at the school that she works in close to Milwaukee, they something happened where the class size got changed up, and she had like 5 additional kids added on to her classroom, so she was over capacity, and just it doesn't help the kids, it doesn't help her, it doesn't help anyone involved.
Right. I mean, just for instance, a couple of our classrooms, we have one working outlet in there because the other 2 walls are curtains, and so we don't have, when I not say working, the only outlet in the room works, but there's only one of them due to not real walls. So we kind of at times say it'd be great to have 4 walls on classrooms instead of curtains, and so.
Well, and a place that definitely needs 4 walls is the library, where you need it to be quiet. Are you going to change the location of the library, or would it just be adding surrounding walls?
So, great question. So that we would add surrounding walls, and then the rooms would stay around the library. They just would be used differently. So, for instance, our tech coordinator would move to one of those adjacent rooms to the library where there's not going to be as much room. There'd be more room for storing of computers. Some of our smaller scale, our Title I reading or Title Math, where it's just less, we're going to utilize the space, it's just going to be less students. So that should just naturally make the noise come down. So library will stay in the same place, just a little revamp with some walls.
Definitely. And then will there be anything added to the library?
There is room. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, just if it's going to be like a working student center.
Working student center, but then we are also in one of the adjacent rooms. We're talking about a maker space, which are just becoming prevalent, maybe the last 15 years, where it's just basically like a creative lab that will be attached to the library, so the librarian or other classrooms can utilize that space, and we'll have that space for the students. So yeah, we're looking to expand a little bit of the offerings in the library.
Yeah, the library was always a place that I didn't utilize enough, and then I would see my buddies in high school using it. We had a creative lab. I think it was called the Creative Lab. It might have been called that, and they just always had better projects than me. They had better everything.
Yeah.
And it was just because they went to the school library. That was pretty much it. When you were talking about the 2 music classrooms that you have and not being able to access upstairs, could you explain that a little further?
So right now our music, our core music room is upstairs, and there is not an elevator that connects to the upstairs. So it's steps to get up the stairs, and we have students with needs that are not able to make it up there. So we've had to create this separate. It was a physical therapy room that we used, and we kind of moved that to somewhere else. So that's located in a different spot in the building. So we've created this second music room.
Got it. I see. Yeah, definitely the accessibility, definitely important. Just thinking about all the kids that sprained an ankle and now they're on crutches and all that.
Yeah, it's not. You're right there. It's not just for severe where they may never be able to walk, but it's just throughout the year and then trying to change on the fly. Now we're hoping to give our music program the same room, big room where they have their stuff, and it can be in one spot all the time.
Kid sick, needs to go to the nurse's office, get them down the elevator. Yeah, there's plenty of different needs for an elevator. When you were talking about how there could be, I might have heard you wrong. There's potential for another classroom for preschool?
For 4K. So right now, Markesan is a half-day 4K program. So we have one teacher teaches 4K all day. So she has 2 sections, and then we have another teacher that teaches it for the morning. So we have 3 sections of 4K, but if we go to all day, we will need another room to house those students.
I see, and that helps parents to have that. I don't have the experience quite yet, but I'm assuming that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
People have a tough enough time with dogs, so I
Yeah.
can imagine. I guess, well, we only have a couple minutes left. Maybe, well, I guess so. You mentioned that if let's say that the referendum doesn't pass, you'd still be able to allocate some of those funds, that those capital funds that you had, to projects. But what would I guess, where do you go from there?
Where do we go? That's a great question, because it's been asked, and I don't want to speculate or throw our word again that we would try again, but it really depends on how the vote goes. I mean, when I talked right at the beginning about the 11.4 million, something is going to have to be done at the elementary that the capital funds won't fix. So
Okay, yeah, right.
and we have the ability to go in April if necessary, due to the you can ask 2 questions in the same calendar year. So we've only asked 1. So if we need to go in April, and when you go to referendum, it needs to be tied to an election. So we can't just pick, we're going in May, which there's not. So there's April, and then there's November of 26. So there's some limited dates that districts can go to referendum. So we have plans that no matter what happens on the 5th, we will reassess and move quickly if necessary to try again, or really look at what the community said, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. So
absolutely,
we hope it, as future students, if that we hope it goes well for them. But if it doesn't, we will have a plan in place, and those critical maintenance items need to be addressed at some point.
Well, going off of that, why should voters support this referendum on November 5th?
Try to be careful trying to sway our district. So I think the way I've tried to look at this is an investment in Markesan. And people ask, like, why should we say yes to this as businesses are leaving Markesan, and what's left in Markesan? And I think we have a wonderful school, and I believe we should double down on that investment, and let's make the school the place people come to Markesan for. So that's my pitch to that. But however you vote, just please be informed. Next Wednesday night, the 30th, I'll be at the Hornet's Nest at 6:30 taking questions. So if you still are undecided or have questions, please contact me, or stop at that community event as well to kind of hear the last question and answer session before the referendum.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thanks so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And once again, thanks for the coverage. We greatly appreciate it. I had a great time.
Yeah, no problem at all. Again, I was joined by Markesan District Administrator Jason Breaker, talking about the school referendum that is going to be on the ballot on November 5th. That'll do it for today's community comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.